What news?
Good news, I think, Harry. Yes, good news.
I'm very glad, Jack.
Thank you, Christopher. Thank you.
Christopher can scoff, but I know how hard you've been praying. Huh? Now God is answering your prayer.
That's not why I pray, Harry. I pray because I can't help myself. I pray because I'm helpless. I pray because the need flows out of me all the time, waking and sleeping. It doesn't change God, it changes me. He's got very little on this player.
Yeah. We had stuff to talk about today. First and foremost, allow us to get the elephant in the room out. I am fully aware of the tragedy that has happened today. For those who do not know, I will say this. Charlie Kirk He's a conservative commentator. He's the head of an organization called Turning Point USA, who have been visiting college campuses for many years, discussing conservatism and then having discussions and debates with Chaos Sonic Frozen $2 says in a foul mood after what happened, and that's what I'm gonna talk about first. But Charlie would go to different college campuses, have discussions with college students, have debates with people. He's had several debates at like Politicon and stuff like that. I know he debated Hassan Piker twice, beat him both times. Not that, well, I'm not gonna say this against Charlie Kirk. I'm just saying Hassan's not that smart. Not Charlie's biggest W, but overall he was a guy that promoted conservatism, and I would say you could say boilerplate conservatism, bumper sticker conservative, something like that. It's not a knock against him when I say that. It's basically saying he didn't have any positions that were controversial at all. Honestly. Like, breaking the law is bad. So illegal immigration is bad. His stances on abortion, didn't like it. Standard conservative belief. Big constitutionalist. Freedom of speech, right to bear arms, go down the list, you know? And then, of course, he was also a guy that very much believed that Michael throws in $1.45 or $2 in Canadian. We're in a very dark time for America right now. I have things to say about that. Thank you for the $2, though. But he was pretty bog standard conservative. Nothing too crazy. You could even go as far to say moderate conservative. And he was murdered today. He was actually in the middle of a conversation. Basically the all-American type of guy. Yeah, he was the kind of guy that if anybody's had an uncle that's a businessman that voted for a conservative, was like a Reagan Republican from back in the 1980s, that was effectively Charlie. Honestly, that was how I always viewed him. That was sort of his brand of conservatism. Basically pre-Bush era conservatism, which we've kind of seen a resurgence of after the Bushes, after W left office after his terms. I apologize that I'm drinking as much as I am. I do have a sore throat that I'm working through. And I did promise you guys that I was going to stream today. So I'm here regardless. But Charlie was murdered today, sadly. He leaves behind a wife and I believe 2 daughters. So it is a very sad day today. And what makes this the saddest part about it, I watched the video of him being shot, which is a little morbid, but I'm not the type of person to necessarily shy away from these things whenever I, just as a journalist, even though it can suck a part of your soul apart. Before he was hit with the bullet, he was smiling. It was just another day. And not only was he just smiling, he was more than happy to get to talk to the next person he was going to talk to. $5 from Damos says, on my way to Dad's karate class, saw paid protesters claiming Charlie was a fascist. They did the same at the church shooting 3 weeks ago. Totally evil. Agreed. But I watched it. Sadly, when I saw where the bullet hit, I'm like, it's going to be a miracle if he pulls through. And he didn't. But, because it hit him, I have a really fat neck, so I don't have the best neck for it. Right here. It barely missed his esophagus, but your jugular is right around here. So that type of a gunshot, it is survivable, but it's you're going to be lucky if it happens, and sadly he was not. But here's the thing. If there's one thing that I will say about Charlie, again, pretty inoffensive conservative. But one thing that kind of caught me, and I mentioned this to a couple people who have contacted me about this, is the most important thing is to not be scared. Because if there's one thing to be said about Charlie Kirk and a lot of other commentators out there, is that we live in a time, and this is an unfortunate reality of where we live. We live in a time where people think that it's okay to try to use violence to intimidate people into silence. Threats, gunshots, the whole 9 yards. Like, threats of violence, threats of public embarrassment, threats of anything. And we see it constantly. It just happened to me last week. You know, nowhere near the severity of Charlie Kirk, obviously, but the doxing threat. And we know why that stuff happens. There are people out there that seem to think that it's okay to do that. And the fact of the matter is that everybody out there that decides to get into media that is of a certain political persuasion, a conservative basically, is taking a risk every time they go on stage. Charlie knew that, and he did it anyway. And he did it happily. And that's the thing. The best thing you can do is do not let fear beat you. It's just the way that it is. If you're scared of things, they control you. They restrict you. If you're scared of going outside, you won't go outside because the fear has control of you. People who don't fear it will go outside, right? People who are afraid of the dark never shut the lights off. People who aren't afraid of the dark don't care if it's dark outside because the fear doesn't control them. It's the same thing here. So, what I'm going to say is this. In the spirit of not being afraid to speak, that's why I'm here. Because at the end of the day, it is more important than anything to leave a legacy, at least in my opinion, of being someone, if you're going to be a public figure, who was not afraid to be themselves. It's just the way that it is. So, I will not be scared. I will not be intimidated into silence or anything of the sort. Neither should anybody else that decides to discuss any issue for any reason. A couple of more super chats came in. Sangheili Voice, greetings from Desort. Good to see you too. Chaos Sonic for $5 says, I do think this will probably start a crackdown on political commentators, but that's just my opinion. I think you're being a little too doomeristic there, buddy. It's not going to be a crackdown on political commentators. What's going to start happening is that people who are political commentators that do things like this are going to just start hiring more security. And there's going to be more cops whenever this sort of thing happens. That's the fear I'm talking about. One of my favorite comments about Dune about fear is from Dune. Fear is the mind killer. Fear makes you dumb. Why be afraid of the dark? Because I don't know what's in there. Exactly, you don't know what's in there. So why be afraid of it? It's dark in my closet right now. You see nothing right here. You shouldn't be afraid. All that's in there is wires. The worst thing, probably a spider. Woo. But fear will destroy you if you let it. That's why you shouldn't be scared. Because people will use fear to drive you insane. They will use fear to make you think silly things. They will use fear to try to make you crazy, and suddenly you're what they want you to be. Do not let them do that. Chaos Sonic throws another $2. Says, sorry, Micah. Rough day, didn't need this. Nobody needed it. I get where you're coming from. But don't let it dominate you. Any advice on how to vent the fear and hatred? Because I feel a lot of hate in my heart right now. Fear is the easier of the two to deal with. Yo-Yo for $1.99 says, I'm scared of the dark. Don't at me like that. Sorry. You've been exposed. But no. Fear is something we all deal with. We all deal with things that mess with us, that we worry about, that, or things like that. But you have to understand something about fear. Any situation that you're afraid of can be rectified. You cannot be afraid of something that cannot be solved. Hatman wants in. Give me 1 second. That was actually the reason I was playing Stone the Crow. I was Hatman's going to come in. And let me make sure that my audio setting is good. It is not. Hold on. Plugged my headphone into the wrong jack. So I need to just tweak a few audio settings. Okay, there's that. And then, so that you guys can hear him, there's that. Okay, calling in the Hatman. Hatman, you are live.
I am live. Everyone, you'll have to excuse me. I am currently in the process of making white people tacos.
Not even Tex-Mex, just flat out white people?
Well, it's ground turkey, so I think that's white people.
Oh, that's super white people. You didn't even use ground beef.
Yeah.
My goodness. How dare you? I
It's good, though.
I'm going to have to bring back the Shame the Hatman button. What the fuck?
It tastes good, though. It's still good.
I'll take your word on it.
Yeah, it's just ground turkey for health purposes for the Mrs. Hatman, so.
Gotcha. I was just wrapping up. I was just wrapping up talking about Charlie. Basically talking about how to deal with fear and anger. So, what I was saying about fear is that any situation that you can be scared of can be easily rectified. You know, and you can't let it dominate you. You know, you have to understand that sometimes the worst can happen, and you have to be prepared for it. Oftentimes, if you've ever met those dads that work a ton of hours and save a lot of money, it's for that reason. They're worried, I could lose this at some point. I don't want my kids and my family to be fucked over because of the chance happening of something bad, so they save their money to make sure that it doesn't happen. in my own life, there were some big changes that happened just recently. As Hatman could attest, I had a backup plan, adjusted immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is I didn't let the fear make me paranoid. I didn't let the fear take over my life. I said, be prepared for the worst to happen and make sure that things are taken care of so you don't miss a step. That's how you deal with fear, is you just prepare for what could happen, and when you are ready for it, you realize, I'm not scared of this anymore. As for anger, don't let it change you. There's nothing wrong with being angry. Anger is a reaction to a stimuli. You stub your toe, you're angry. Something bad happens in your life, you get angry. You acknowledge it, you acknowledge why you're angry. Go hit something. Go exercise. The dumbest thing you can do is sit and let it stew.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what's the one way to make standing water smell worse? Boil it.
Mm.
Or simmer it. The smell is terrible. Don't ask how I know. Charlie Kirk, in his own words, when people stop talking, that's when you get violence. That's a good quote. Thank you for the $5 Canadian, Michael. And that's why I decided to still stream today. It's just like, I'm not going to be fucking scared of this.
Well, I think there's something to be said about how we respond to fear versus how the types of people that are celebrating this death are responding to fear. Because, let's be real, a lot of them have an honest fear response. They think that people like Charlie Kirk are out to murder them. Like, I'll give you an example. One of my friends who is trans, I just texted him today about this with the simple, "This country is fucked, isn't it?" And the response I got was, "Really, dude? This is what gets you to say the country is fucked, not everything else happening this year? This is the most hopeful I've felt in fucking weeks. We're not just quietly waiting to be killed." That comes from a place of fear.
Yeah.
It's absolutely misguided fear. It's fear stoked by people who want you to stay afraid. But you can't. And same thing with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. They want you to be afraid, to hold certain opinions, to act certain ways. But you cannot let that happen. That's how they win. Same thing with the left. They want them afraid so that they will act out and do crazy things like this. So far, it seems like they're failing that test. We don't need to fail that test.
Yeah. One of my favorite songs ever, the metal song by the band Fear Factory called Fear Campaign. And if you've never heard it, it goes hard. It's one of those metal songs where you're like, God, like Bleed by Meshuggah. You listen to it and you're like, holy shit, what am I experiencing? One of my favorite lyrics from it is the second verse. It says, "It's the most strategic tool used to manipulate. Intimidation to make me weak in order to obey." They want, people who like to sow fear know that some people will get so scared that they will fall into the patterns of behavior that the manipulator wants them to believe. They want you to be scared. Because like I said, fear makes you stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Fear makes you ignorant. It makes you afraid to do anything except trust the person that's telling you to be scared.
Fear is the enemy of logic.
fear is how everybody is kept in line in the book 1984.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's why I like, and this kind of goes back to, and I'm trying to segue here into the next section because I think there's really not much more to say about what happened to Charlie except just pray for his family because his wife is gonna have a very hard time now because his girls are very young, and
the man was younger than I am.
Yeah, I was about to say,
like, I know I'm a youngin' compared to you, but Jesus Christ,
I am I think 9 years older than Charlie. I think
he was born a year after me.
Okay, then I'm not. I thought he was like 31, 32.
He was 31, but he hadn't reached his 32nd birthday yet. He was born in 93.
Okay. So, and I was born in 85. So I was like 8 years older. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I despise fear-mongering because it makes people do terrible things. The worst we saw today, I have no doubt, whether it's a far-left person or a far-right person, FBI Director Cash confirmed shooters in custody. Perfectly timed super chat, Damos. Also, thank you for the $2. Whether it being a far-right person or a far-left person, both are possible. Keep in mind, the far-right didn't like Charlie either.
Yeah. The Groypers especially did not like him.
Yeah, they despised him. Whoever it was, you will be able to find that they were fed a steady diet of fear-mongering insanity. Chaos Sonic throws in $2, says, Charlie was my age, 1993. Yeah, he's a young dude. Young dude. My youngest sister is that same age. So, but it is a sad thing to see, and I'll be praying for him and his family. More so for his family because as I hold my necklace, we know where he went.
Yeah.
So. All right. Let's move into the other topic.
Let's move into more legal talk.
The main one that we were going to talk about today before this happened. Allow me to pull up an article. This is from KVEO TV. So this would be a Texas-based television station. It says here, allow me to make this so that people can read it a little bit easier. From Weslaco, Texas. One of hundreds of laws adopted by Texas recently creates a jail felony if someone knowingly possesses with intent to view, or promotes obscene visual material containing a depiction that appears to be a child younger than 18 years of age. That's not a very good quote. That's not all it says. Basically, we've gone over the anime ban, which obviously is not an anime ban because, well, anytime that we have ever seen banned media in a particular state or anywhere, actually, let me read the super chat real quick. Chaos Sonic throws another $5, says, when it comes to the anime laws, I do disagree with this, as I'm always against censorship, but you at least go through this like legal mindset. Well, and we'll make the case for why this is not censorship, because it's not censoring any actual, like, you part of the process of what goes on with this is it has to be proven within a court of law that it has no artistic value, which, by the way, very hard to prove, which we'll get to. I'm gonna make Hatman's avatar a little bit smaller. There we go. But it says here that an owner of a comic book shop, Andrew Balderas, manager of Kaboom Comics, said, when I first heard it was against AI generating inappropriate stuff like that, by all means, it doesn't need to do that. But yeah, it is going to affect things that it had no intention in that way whatsoever. I saw people, here's what it is, and this is what pissed me off. I saw people posting that it was going to affect a lot of anime, manga stuff because it would show culturally inappropriate things on certain characters and stuff, and it would fall beneath that bill. Really?
Feedback loop. It's a feedback loop.
Folks, there is a reason I hate fear-mongering. This is why. Because one of the things this guy pulled off his shelf is Dragon Ball Z.
No, it was OG Dragon Ball.
Oh, it says here in this one, Dragon Ball Z.
I thought it was OG Dragon Ball because of Goku running around naked all the time.
This is what Niche Gamer had linked to. This was their source. So, right out of the gate, this guy just pulled probably the most popular manga of all time. People are saying it's OG Dragon Ball. Like it said, this is the source, guys. I went to the source. Unless there's another one. Bounding into Comics doesn't source anything at all. Which, I'm going to just say this right now. The head of Bounding into Comics, Spencer Bakuli. Spencer, if you're watching this, you're a fucking retard. We're going to just start with that. You're a fucking retard. Same thing with this Brandon Little over at Niche Gamer. Brandon, you're a fucking retard too. But yeah, it's they claimed the original Dragon Ball. It says in the source article from KVEO TV, who they link to, that he pulled Dragon Ball Z. Says from himself concerns that the main character was shown naked as a child in earlier issues, which this is also in Z because it flashes back to when Goku was found in the pod. Now, I want to start this by saying, and I'm not going to encourage other people to do this because this guy does not need to be bothered or made to feel like an idiot for what happened here. I emailed the shop and I said, "Hi, my name is Micah Curtis. I'm an independent journalist. I've been covering this case. I've been working with my business partner who's a law student on discussions about this particular case. And we've read through the bill. Dragon Ball is fine. You're not going to get in trouble for selling Dragon Ball." And I said places all over the state would have been required to pull this the day that got signed if that was the case. And that didn't happen. I said, "You're going to be fine." I said, "If you want more opinions from myself and my business partner on things, or you want to know more details, please contact me at this email. I would be more than happy to give you a hand." And I'm going to say this right now, and people are welcome to clip this and hold on to it. If there is ever a case in the state of Texas where someone is arrested for owning Dragon Ball, for owning Fooly Cooly, for owning anything along those lines that is pretty much bog standard anime, that isn't some fucking weird ass hentai or something, and you need an expert witness, I will do it gratis. No problem. They'll just call me in by Zoom and I will testify on your behalf. I don't want anything for it, but should the worst happen and there is overreach, I will absolutely help. But so far, from what we have seen with this bill, that is not what's happening. Again, folks, keep in mind that Crunchyroll, they are a Texas-based company, are they not?
I believe they are.
They are the biggest anime streaming platform on Earth, folks. The biggest. And guess what? You can still watch Dragon Ball Z. You can still watch Dragon Ball. You can still watch pretty much just about anything that people say is going to be banned. Yo-Yo for $4.99 says, I know laws can create chilling effects, but sometimes that's unintentional and people just overreact. Well, and this is the thing. This guy's self-censored. This guy just got fucked out of money because guys like Spencer Bakuli and who was this asshole over on Niche Gamer? Brandon Little, and the biggest of the three, Chibi Reviews, you guys have fucked this guy out of money because he trusted you, and based on your statements, he made a business decision that will hurt him financially. It will take money off of his kid's table because you couldn't get your fucking facts straight and said you decided to fearmonger. Out of fear, he made a choice. It was a fear that is based on nothing. It is absolutely fucking insane that this is happening.
I mean, it's creating a feedback loop. Like they're self-censoring over the fact that they heard that this is what the law does, which in turn is going to cause more people to self-censor because then they see that, oh, well, this store has pulled stuff from their shelves, so I guess we have to do it too, which will repeat ad nauseum. The law is not intended to do this. The law cannot do this, quite frankly. And yet people are not only assuming that it has power that it doesn't have, but they're giving it that power without it even being asserted. Like, does nobody else see how completely ridiculous this is?
It's founded in nothing. Chaos Sonic throws in $2 says, we want to attack him. What do you think we are, Hassan fans? Damn. Nah, I didn't think anybody would, but it's especially given what happened today, it's a good idea to make sure that people know it is not okay to harass people. I have had to ban people from commenting on my videos for telling people in the comment section to go harass people. Like, I even told one guy who was saying it, I don't remember his username, he had a hyena in his fucking profile picture, I remember that much. I said, dude, you can go take a long walk off a short pier. Like, no. Fuck off. $4.99 from Yo-Yo says, when Chibi reported this specifically was less fear-baiting in the story compared to the other times, but honestly, it's a bit too late. Well, even then, he flat out said that it was going to ban anime. And it hasn't. Again, keep in mind, like, and this is what people don't seem to understand, and because they're not thinking, because they trust this guy. How would a ban like this play out? The day that it goes live, the day that it is signed into law, certain sections of Amazon Prime Video, HBO Max, Netflix, Crunchyroll, is Funimation still up? Their streaming service?
I don't think so. I think they got folded in with Crunchyroll.
Okay, so we'll just say Crunchyroll. And there's other stuff out there like Tubi and other streaming services that have anime on them, right? Well, if you were in Texas, you would not be able to access some of the series that are on there. It would have happened the same day, but it didn't. And these idiots, like Spencer Bakuli, like Chibi Reviews, like Jacob Little, did not think to themselves, why can you still access this? Because it wasn't a ban. It was never a ban. It had nothing to do with generic fucking anime. Like, if you actually read the bill, which, by the way, I pointed this out in the video, is that they didn't read the bill. If you watch any of their videos, they highlight one or two sentences, pull it out of its context, They don't look at the penal code. They don't look at the definitions. They don't look at the things that mean a lot to the bill and what it is defined by and what they are going to be looking for. I am genuinely at a point right now where I feel like we need to call in a Texas prosecutor to flat out say, this is what we're looking for, this is what we're not looking for. I'm genuinely wondering, partner, if we need to do that. Yo-Yo even says in chat, he says Crunchyroll would have to move offices. Exactly. Like, do you think if Dragon Ball was suddenly illegal because of Goku being naked, that they wouldn't have hauled in the people at Crunchyroll day fucking one? Think.
I mean, it's like I said last time. There is literally a law that was passed in 2003 on the federal level that does similar shit to what this Texas law does. Obscenity law, like that's been in place in Texas, has been on the books for over 50 years. If they were going to target your milquetoast anime, they would have done it years ago. Dragon Ball is not exactly new. It's not. So the fact of the matter is, if it was that much of an issue that it needed to be banned, or was ever going to be banned, it would have been banned well before it fucking hit Toonami.
And by the way, it was amended from the way that it came in originally. So they went out of their way to even plug the holes from when it was first introduced. We can even look at sponsor statements of intent, the whole 9 yards. Somebody in the chat actually said, is like, maybe you should talk to the senator to see what their intentions were. Maybe we should. Honestly, maybe we should. I'm trying to bring up the bill itself. Okay, found it. Like, again, here's the bill itself. And again, this is why I'm calling Spencer Bakuli a retard, why I'm calling Jacob Little a retard, why I'm calling Chibi Reviews a retard. It is so easy to find this. It is so easy to find the penal code. It is literally a click away, and it's easy to read. And if you don't find it easy to read for whatever reason, it's not hard to reach out to somebody that can. It tells you the definitions that it's working on. Exactly. It tells you what it means by promote. It tells you what it means by visual material. It is literally linked to, it's a click away to just fucking look at it. In fact, there are things that they completely ignore. Have you guys ever noticed that what they highlight is this one sentence, regardless of whether or not the depiction is of an image of an actual child, meaning that it doesn't have to be an AI-generated image of a real child. It just needs to be an AI-generated image of a child. And then it goes over everything. And it tells you, again, section 4321. Definitions. And it says here, engaging in activities described by section 4321. Okay, what does 4321 describe? Gives you the definition of obscene, gives you the definition of material, performance, patently offensive, promote, wholesale promote, obscene device. Like, everything you could want answered is right there. It's literally right there. What?
And the thing about it too is I know people like to say, well, reading the law doesn't necessarily explain the law because the average person can't understand legalese. That shit is not difficult to understand.
Mm-mm.
It really is not.
How stupid do you think people are? Is my thought.
Yeah, really.
You must have a very low opinion of the average person's intelligence then, which in some cases is valid. I'm not going to argue that, but the fact of the matter is that these sorts of things should not be you could just take a second. You know, somebody in the chat said that they commented on one of Chibi's videos saying the opposite, and he deleted it. I'm not surprised. He's doing that constantly with people that have watched videos from myself or other people that have said this is not the case, and he deletes their comments constantly because he's scared of the truth. He wants you to be afraid. This is something that needs to be stated. Chibi is a liar. Not only is he a liar, he has a history of lying. For example, one thing that he has said, he put out a thread on Twitter. And partner, I'm going to send this to you. And I'm curious to see if you're going to see the same holes that I see. One thing is, he said that when he was doxxed by some group, that he contacted the FBI and they opened a case. Which sounds a little weird. Over just a YouTuber getting doxxed, because you and I contacted the FBI with a threat of thousands of, with a theft of thousands of dollars that crosses state lines, and they never even contacted us back.
Yeah.
Here's the archive of it. But one thing that he says in it is that this group doxed him. He has since removed it, but I saw an archive. This dude used to have his full address in his, and not like the post office to send stuff to a P.O. box, his actual address to send stuff to him. So he doxed himself and then put it under his videos. So the idea that they had to go that far out of their way to get your identity or where you live, dude, you did it. You did it. You gave them the information. The fuck are you talking about? He also said that somebody that he talked to told him that it was only going to take $15,000 or something like that to deal with a defamation lawsuit.
Well, there's a hole in his story that I can tell just from glancing at it.
What you got?
I found a lawyer that did a consultation with me and offered to take my case. The lawyer told me I needed to pay a retainer fee to even begin. For transparency's sake, the retainer fee the lawyer wanted was $5,000. That wasn't including the hourly rate from the lawyer. The lawyer told me I'd get billed monthly on top of that $5K. The bill could range depending on how much time they invested into the case, but on average, he said it would cost about $2,200 a month. And for a case like this, it could take anywhere to $20K or more, depending on how long it takes. So that's not how retainer fees work. Either he talked to a shitty lawyer or he's making this shit up. Retainer fees are basically a down payment on legal services that you were going to receive. They will bill you after the retainer fee has already been used up for work that they've done, and they will send you like at least monthly bills that will track how much time they've spent on the case and how much money is owed. The money that is owed initially comes out of that retainer fee. So if it's $5,000 and he says it's going to cost $2,200 a month, he should at least have 2 months worth of legal fees covered. And then he would have to re-up the retainer after that. So
yeah, that sounded really fishy. And like
yeah.
one thing he said is like he contacted Homeland And I'm like, the fuck is Homeland going to
Contacted
do?
Homeland Security?
Yeah, I'm like, for a doxing case, they don't handle that. Like, Homeland takes care of things that are coming into the country. So, no. And again, the FBI thing sounds really weird to me because, again, we lost over $10,000 because of a theft that was across state lines, could have been international, and they ignored us.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea that Chibi getting doxxed, suddenly an FBI agent is interested, fuck off. I'm sorry, I don't buy that for an instant. I just don't. I'm calling the bluff. Have yourself a good one, Yo-Yo. And is defamation what exactly you would go over for like doxing?
Defamation? Defamation is civil. It's not criminal.
Yeah. So it's like, what the fuck? Like, none of this makes sense. And this
Doxing would be probably like criminal harassment or something.
Yeah.
But no, like you wouldn't go to defamation for that. You can't charge somebody with defamation.
Yeah. And I'm gonna be honest, like the other thing like he said is like, oh, I went and I put in a police report. So? That doesn't mean anything. I'm gonna be. This is something, folks, that I just need to let you guys know. There's two types of police. If the police just say we're going to make a report, they're going to open a file on you. They're going to put the report in there, and they're going to put it in a filing cabinet, just in case something happens.
Mm-hmm.
They're not necessarily going to act on it unless there is an immediate threat, because they got other stuff to do. So if you go online and by the way, I have experience with this. I spoke with the police the very first time someone ever threatened to dox me during the pandemic. And they said, all right, Mr. Curtis, well, here's what we'll do. We're going to put you on a list of content creators, just in case the worst happens. If someone calls us to SWAT you, because there is a SWAT team in the city I live in, even though it's not a huge city, it's only about 100,000 people. We'll, instead of, like, we won't just send a SWAT team, a couple officers will come around and they'll knock on the door and they'll talk to you, and that's it. And I'm like, all right, cool. I've been on that list ever since. And I talked to them recently over the thread. I'm like, hey, am I still on that content creator list? They're like, yep, you still are. You're still good to go. And yeah, did it happen again? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, it's nothing too crazy. He didn't make a threat of violence, but if it escalates, I will let you guys know. And they're like, yep, that's all you need to do. So unless there's like actual threats of violence, because he's claiming that like cops are like regularly coming to his place. What it is that you're on a patrol route. They're not regularly
Or your
coming.
name gets flagged.
Yeah, like,
because in my instance, when I got doxxed back in 2014, the whole whatever it was, Bill Wagner crew doxing thing, they didn't get the address that I was living at the time, but they got my parents' address. So all I had to do was call down to the local police department, say who I was. It kind of helped that they know who my dad is. Say, hey, this is what's going on. Just, if there's any calls for violence from this address, they're made up. And they said, sure, fine. I didn't hear from them again and didn't need to contact them again because nothing came of it.
Yeah,
but it was simple.
They're just trying to intimidate you. The one thing that definitely was a lie that he got caught in, and I'm going to reiterate this publicly because it needs to be put out there, he had his DeviantArt hacked. He said, and he says in this thing, that the people who hacked him posted CP with his account. No, they didn't. Because from the time he was hacked, there are screenshots of his account. And guess what it says? 0 deviations. They didn't post anything. They saw what Chibi was looking at, and it was photos of underage children. Not in compromising positions, because there's no... obviously, DeviantArt has a no CSAM policy. But they found his search history. And it's like, buddy, what are we doing here? Now, by the way, I'm not making any accusations about him as a person. For all I know, he was looking at it for some other reason, or somebody else was on his computer that, like, because I know he's got brothers and sisters. So that's not evidence of anything.
Guilty or not guilty until proven innocent. Wow, that would be the terrible way. Innocent until proven guilty, everybody.
As I say, we're not the Imperium of Man,
no.
man.
we're not the Imperium of Man, and we're certainly not Hassan either.
Yes. So I don't think he's a pedophile. I do think that he's
I don't either.
I think he's an idiot. Because he did another stupid recently. And this is the reason that I speak about him with as negative of a statement as I do. Is this one. Where he went and said, the man arrested for anime images at the Dublin airport in Ireland was first stopped by Homeland Security U.S. federal agency in the airport. Guys, they're more focused on this, but they won't release the Epstein list. Now, I say why he's stupid, but I want to just kind of reiterate that this is what's actually posted. Finley Bowd, 21, of Harbourview Close, Brixham, Devon, England, was arrested at Terminal 2 on Wednesday. He appeared before Judge John Brennan at Dublin District Court on Thursday, where Detective Garda Rebecca Doyle said that the man made no reply when charged with 2 offenses under Section 6.1 of the Child Trafficking and Pornography Act. The shop cashier, who had been traveling to New York for a Comic-Con event, was arrested and had his phone seized. He is accused of possessing anime images of child sexual abuse. So just anime images, huh? Huh? Turning into Wu-Fei here. He is accused of possessing anime images of child sexual abuse and having Category 3 child pornography anime images. And the only thing with Homeland, it says, Judge Brennan noted the involvement of Homeland Security, the U.S. federal agency. What that means is when he was coming into the States, he was stopped. Probably a random check. They looked him up, and what they found is that there was a warrant for his arrest in another country. So they sent him back. That's all Homeland had to do. So I said the following, and Hatman can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I said, 1, you're an idiot. I don't think I'm wrong there. 1, you're outright defending someone that might have had CSAM on their phone. Obviously innocent until proven guilty. The fact that he's jumping to this dude's defense, bit sus. Number 2, the Epstein anything would not be handled by Homeland. That's the Department of Justice. Learn how the government works.
Mm-hmm.
3,
yes.
Homeland's security job is to stop criminals and potential criminals. Why are you defending this guy?
Well, potential criminals from overseas.
Yeah, from overseas.
Because again, if it was domestic, that'd be DOJ.
Yeah. Like, it takes 5 seconds to, like, who's in charge of all the Epstein stuff? What's Pam Bondi? Well, what does Pam Bondi do? Well, let's Google. Pam Bondi is the 87th Attorney General of the United States. Like, you can find these things. Like, what the fuck?
But Micah, what does an Attorney General do?
She's the head of the DOJ. She oversees the Department of Justice. Like, Christ. And by the way, I'm not going to comment on... Well, I'll just say this. Do I have a problem with pornography laws in general? Yes, we've gone over this. I've done streams about it. But the fact of the matter is that the whole situation took place in Ireland, which is a different country, not America, where Texas, which anime is supposedly targeted. Yes, I said that. I don't know why you're bringing it up again. But the fact is that this is, like, why are you jumping to this dude's defense? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing, buddy? Wow. It's not a good look.
Looks a little suspect. No.
It's a very bad look.
Bad optics.
And this is like what gets my goat. It's like, I'm genuinely curious now what constitutes, what is this? Category 3 child pornography anime images. So this is in the UK, because Dublin's Northern Ireland, right?
Dublin is Ireland proper.
I thought it said that it was in Dublin. Hold on. It says Dublin District Court. But he's from Devon, England, though. So let's ask Grok what that means. Maybe he can link me to something. So let's see here. It's a whole lot of info that's being thrown at me real quick. It looks like the place that he screenshotted. Notice that this dude never includes sources. So here's what it says here. The term likely refers to Category C indecent images, the least severe category, which could include animating images of fictional minors in erotic or sexually suggestive poses. Such images are illegal under the Coroners and Justice Act 2009 if deemed pornographic and obscene, with possession carrying up to 3 years imprisonment. Whew. Damn. So minors so this guy might have had imagery of minors in sexual positions, and you're leaping to his defense without looking more into it. Getting a little sussy baka in here. And by the way, this is what I mean by this guy's an idiot. He has consistently gotten this law wrong. Now there are real life consequences. People are losing money because of this. Because of him and the people that follow him. Like that fucking idiot from Bounding Into Comics and that fucking idiot from Niche Gamer. You're costing people money now. This has gone way too far. I would argue it went too far from the get-go, but this is we're getting to beyond the pale for me, because you're fucking with how somebody makes their living. This is not Texas's fault, because, and this is the reason that I say that idiot from Bounding Into Comics is a fucking retard. It's not Texas's fault that some asshole can't fucking read and decided to lie about what was going on to make other people fearful for clicks and for YouTube money. That's not Texas's fault. Every single, and this goes all the way back to GG, because August never fucking ends. The simple fact is, you're supposed to report on these things accurately. You're supposed to do your research. You're supposed to do your fucking work. Instead, you don't. What else needs to happen before these people stop? I genuinely worry. Like, do more people need to lose money because of this fear-mongering? I mean, for Christ's sake, you just some dude just polled the most profitable manga in existence from his shelves because these assholes can't tell the truth. What the fuck? It's time to stop. What should the punishment be? Well, he didn't do anything illegal, so punishment is not the right word. The reason that I do these streams and the reason I'm vocal about this is I've always believed the best thing to stop bad speech is not a gun, like we saw today with Charlie Kirk. It is not intimidation. It is nothing physical. Never threaten them or anything like that. It is more information. Good information. Truth. You counter it.
Sunlight is the best disinfectant.
Exactly. You don't be afraid of them. You don't sit back or anything like that. You hold their feet to the fire if they fuck up. And you just say, this is what you said. This is the actual truth. Why are you lying about this? Why do you refuse to tell the truth? That is what you do. Never threaten them or anything like that. You don't need to. You don't need to. Just bring the truth. Punishment, that's a word too far, in my opinion. So that's way too harsh. The only thing that anybody should be punished for is if they did something illegal. Can he be sued for his BS?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so. So, and Hatman says no.
No. You would have to make one hell of an argument if you pulled your books from store shelves as a result of something that he said, to say that it was far enough of tortious interference that it caused you to act. But even then, that's not really going to go anywhere.
Yeah, the judge might just say to you, you should have been smart enough to do your own research.
Right. That's pretty much exactly where that's going. So no, there's no sense in even bringing up the idea of a lawsuit.
Yeah. The reason I'm bringing all this stuff up is I just want people to understand that this guy's a liar. And by the way, Hatman's not the only person involved with anything legal that has flat out said that he's full of shit. You wanna know who else did? He didn't have to do a video on it. He just said it. His legal mindset. Mr. Andrew Esquire, shoutouts to him, just flat out said, this will not ban anime. Saying so is extremism.
It's funny how those of us with some legal experience were able to spot this from a mile away.
Yeah. There's been other content creators that have said the same thing. Like, It's a Gundam flat out said, no, this isn't going to ban anime. Rev Says Desu, I think said, Rev said the same thing. He looked into it. He read the whole bill. He did the same stuff I did. Everybody who is reading this bill, who is looking into it, who is doing research, who is doing their due diligence, is realizing this is not an anime ban. All the people who aren't doing their due diligence, who are pulling statements out of context, who are purposefully being misleading to people, trying to find one word they don't like and have an autistic fit about it, they're getting everything wrong. And there's a reason, because they're not doing the due diligence. They're not fucking working. That's it. That's what it is. All the people who are getting this wrong, all the ones that are fear-mongering, are not actually reading it. They're not doing their research. They're not doing anything. They're spouting because they want you to be scared. Because when you're scared, it goes back to what we said earlier, you're easier to control. And you'll just click, 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 click on every video because you are now beholden to them. And then you're stuck. Stuck in this simmering stew of fear that they're going to feed off of for years at a time until you finally realize that you're getting eaten alive piece by piece. Then you decide not to live in fear anymore. Fizz, you're almost where it basically is. He is basically fear-mongering off the idea of a possibility that you can't goon anymore. That's basically it. A possibility. A maybe. And that maybe's doing a lot of heavy lifting.
In the words of Kim Jong-il, why does everybody have to be so fucking stupid?
I know, right? I'm just, man. I'm mystified. I'm mystified by the fact that this still goes on. But they do it. Batzilla asks, at this point, do you think it's less not doing due diligence and more doing this on purpose? It's either, well, it's either, I think it's either one of two things. It's either laziness or maliciousness. Like, it's either he's just really lazy and dumb. Lazy, dumb, and loud. Which, in media, sadly, can get you money. I hate to admit it, but it's been true forever in the media. Or it is malicious, and he is a grifter. In my opinion, it's the latter of the two. I genuinely think he's a grifter, and I think he's a liar. I think, because that is one thing, like, you can spot grifters by the fact that they stick with lies as long as they can, until the web gets too complicated and they can't keep it up. Because there's holes in his story. Like, we just pointed him out earlier about this whole thing about, like, him starting a give, send, go for legal fees. There's holes in his story. Because, like, look, I remember talking to a lawyer about a possible IP theft case that we were looking at back when we started getting into the comic book scene after we had published Inglewood Book 1. And he's like, dude, you need it at minimum $75,000. And this was a lawyer that, you know, hadn't gotten into cocaine yet, to give you a hint. Well, I'll just say it was Nick Rekieta. Nick and I were tight at the time. So, Nick was like, dude, you're going to need like $75,000 just to make sure you don't break the bank. Like, I don't know who said like $25,000. And the idea that a group of doxers, a group of them, you're going to just solve in a few months with that much money. I'm sorry. You're what the fuck? What the fuck? It drives me nuts, man.
Yeah. All right, I got to get out of here and eat my white people tacos. So.
Yep, I am gonna go prepare to make some Philly cheesesteaks myself. But my advice to Chibi Reviews before we head out is a little prop from today. This is a thing of Arby's jus, because I had Arby's for lunch because I couldn't be asked to cook. Chibi, maybe you ought to, and for Brandon and the guy from Bounding in the Comics, just stick to putting the fries in the bag, guys. Leave this to the people that actually do the work. So, on that note, guys, appreciate all of you for coming in, stopping by, especially those who were liberal with their super chats. And just remember, do not give in to fear ever. It's not worth it. So, we will catch you guys later. Have yourselves a good rest of your day.